Well, sanctuary policies, migrant crime, 3 governors now front and center as the House Oversight Committee prepares to gavel in for what is going to potentially be a pretty explosive hearing. It's about to get underway on Capitol Hill. Welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom. I'm Jillian Turner. Great to be with you, John.
Good to be with you as well, as always. I'm John Roberts. Dana Perino and Bill Hemmer are off, but you might have gathered that by the fact that we are here. The Democratic governors of Illinois, Minnesota, and New York being hauled onto the Hill to defend their respective states' sanctuary policies. Republicans want them to explain why they protect criminal illegal aliens instead of protecting law-abiding Americans. Democrats in the committee say they welcome the hearing and plan to make it all about President Trump.
And committee chairman James Comer is putting a focus on sanctuary policies. He says officials are actively seeking to obstruct federal immigration enforcement in these sanctuary cities.
This is very serious. We believe this is a crime if they do not cooperate with the federal authorities. The American people spoke with respect to the border and with respect to deporting the criminal illegals. This is President Trump's agenda. He campaigned on it. He was very transparent. He's done a very good job of securing the border. The next phase is deporting the bad guys that got across the border while Joe Biden was president.
Our national correspondent Griff Jenkins starting us off. He is on the Hill where all the action will get underway in just moments. Griff.
Yeah, that's right, John. And Jillian, the hearing room behind me is about to get hot. Fireworks are going to fly when those 3 sanctuary state governors face lawmakers. And John, just as they were coming in, I asked both Governor Pritzker as well as Governor Tim Walz one pointed question, which is why are illegal immigrants allowed to roam free in your state with criminal records? Both ignored me. Now, this comes amid the backdrop of the anti-ICE protests spreading across the country. You see video from Los Angeles, from Chicago, from Seattle, from New York, where 8 NYPD cars were set ablaze last night. Now, Pritzker is going to also have to deal with frustrated local law enforcement like Illinois County Sheriff Mike Downey, who says that these governors and their policies are the problem. Listen here.
For the governor of New York, for the governor of Illinois to allow police to be treated like this, that's the real crime here.
So Pritzker, Walz, Hochul going to face a grilling, but there are going to be Democrats that are going to really attack the Trump administration. There are as many as 16 or more additional members that have been added to this hearing, John, including AOC, who had this to say.
I think it's important for us to demonstrate that we are here to defend the Constitution and defend Americans as well from a lot of the illegal activity that ICE is engaged in.
And while Governor Newsom of California is not here, obviously Los Angeles and what's transpired there is going to be a big part of this. In all, there are 13 states that have been identified as sanctuary states. These are only 3 we'll hear from today. John, Jillian?
All right. Griff Jenkins, good to have you on the case. You know so much about this. We look forward to what the hearing has to hold. Thanks, Griff. Jillian?
All right, for more on this, let's bring in Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today. Off the top, I want to get your reaction to this feud between the president and Governor Newsom. What do you think about the administration's threats to have him arrested?
Well, first off, you know, I wish that the president and Governor Newsom could work together. But, you know, the president is totally within his authority to protect American property, protect the citizens out there. When you've got a mayor and then you've got a governor that are setting a culture that they would rather protect rioters versus the police and law enforcement, then the president is, you know, he's federalizing those troops. And you can go back to LBJ that federalized troops in Selma, Alabama over the protests of the governor. You can go back to Eisenhower that did that in Arkansas when they were desegregating some of the schools. And so the president's certainly within his authority there. And I just wish they would work together. But I think the American people can see right through this, that there's a problem with these rioters. And in Oklahoma, it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen in a lot of states where a governor is simply going to step up. He's going to enforce the law and arrest people that are getting out of bounds and are throwing stuff at police and are blocking intersections. And that's the real problem here is we've got to be a country of law and order.
So the card that the Democrats are playing, Governor, is that, oh, democracy is under attack. This is what this is what fascism looks like when the president of the United States sends in the military without the assent of the state governor. You pointed out this happened in 1965 in Alabama. I mean, is this democracy under assault, or is this just the president of the United States trying to prevent bad things from happening in a city that does not seem capable, at least on the surface, of dealing with it?
Well, we've had some discussions as governors about this issue. And like I said before, the president, he reached out, he called the governor of California. That was really interesting as one side was saying he never reached out. And then President Trump showed that he did. But it's my understanding the National Guard is protecting federal buildings. And we can see this. You see the left right now, just like before, they were saying there was no problems at the border. And we know that Biden was letting 6 million undocumented people in. All President Trump's trying to do is get the MS-13, get the criminals out of our country who are here illegally. And I don't see how that's a problem at all. I think most Americans agree with President Trump and agree with these policies that we need to be a country of law and order. And at the same time, if you're going to be chasing the American dream and if you're doing what you're supposed to and you're working hard, we need to fix our workforce permit problems. And we need to make sure that we match employers with employees. I think that should belong at the state level. And so, there's a lot of work to do. The first thing we've got to do, though, is get this criminal element out of our country and refuse to allow this type of rioting to happen. I mean, it shouldn't happen in any state in America. This is crazy.
We talked about this a moment ago. There's this big hearing up on the Hill today where other governors of sanctuary states are going to be talking to a House panel. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota, notably Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate on the 2024 ticket. This is one of his first days back in Washington since losing to President Trump. What are you hoping to hear him say today?
I'm going to be very interested. I'm surprised that they're showing up to testify because I don't know exactly how you defend these policies. I go back to 2020, which was a tough time for governors, and you looked at Minneapolis that was burning, these riots, the Black Lives Matter movement that was happening across the country, and I even had in Oklahoma some of our big city mayors refusing to get involved. But when you have a governor that steps up, and I directed our state police, hey, you can peacefully protest, but if you start blocking intersections, if you start throwing rocks, we will arrest you. And you simply do that immediately, and it calms everything down. Because these are paid protesters, they're agitators. I just got briefed by Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and I think Americans will be frustrated to find out that FEMA under Biden was actually giving grants to these NGOs that are now funding these types of riots. So I don't know how you can defend that. I'm very anxious to see what the governor says. This really shouldn't be a blue state versus red state. This should be a law and order issue. And Americans overwhelmingly want safe communities, great schools. They want to protect private property rights. To be able to drive down a street without being impeded. This is common sense stuff, and the left is trying to make us think we're somehow attacking democracy. It's just not true.
Yeah, to your point about those NGOs, one of them, Churla, got more than $30 million in funding from the state of California and the federal government under Biden. So we'll be watching this hearing to see if some sparks start to fly. Governor, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.